Hello and welcome to The Bar is Loaded Bitesize episode 4. Me and Adam today are going to be discussing Rhiannon's stone lift from the weekend and also offering our predictions of Rob Kearney's up-and-coming log lift. So, first place to start, obviously Rhiannon's lift, mate. What's your first comments on that?
Very, very impressive. Gutted, and I think she was a little gutted that she didn't get more than she did, but I'm glad of afterwards how happy she was with what she has achieved, because it is mega. It was cool to see. She seemed very happy, and
Yeah,
I think she
definitely.
should be. So it was a cool watch. There was a lot of faffing around. You know, the last warm up wasn't even done. I think it was around the half-hour mark. So there was a lot of the stream that was kind of, all right, fast forward a little bit. Just because they were checking the heights of the implement that the stone was being hoisted over. But yeah, so a lot of that not as fun to watch. Half an hour of that. So, but the rest of the stream was great. The stones looked beautiful. They were brand new. Atlas Endurance again doing a great job making some rather pretty stones, and it looked like they'd done a lot to make sure that they were nice and clean, no dust, because that's going to make a big difference when you're trying to pick up a stone. The easiest way to drop a stone is use a brand new one that's all dusty and chalky and horrible, and then it just slips right out of your hands. So I think they've literally done everything they could to make sure that she was going to have the best day possible, and she's got a world record. I don't think you can be sad on a day when you've got a world record, can you?
No.
Even if you don't get a second one, one world record's good enough for most people.
Yeah, no,
She's
definitely.
got multiple now.
I think that's probably for me, probably the one thing that I would say is my little gripe on the thing is that
Mm-hmm.
obviously Loz and Mark were talking about the 161 being the world record. Like,
Yeah,
yes, that would have been the world record for anyone on a stone, but they seem to forget
yeah,
that 140 is a lightweight record and still a world
and that's
record.
what Rhiannon was going to break. Yeah,
Exactly. So, I think
yeah,
that was a massive oversight. I don't know why it was oversighted. Like, it's daft. Like, you've got this female athlete coming in to I think she is she no Andrea Thompson as well, isn't there? So she's one of
yeah,
the only females that are in this WUS feats of strength, and to
yeah,
not and to just brush over that it's a world record still was a bit weird on
yeah,
my part. I think it was just a bit of a weird thing for them to do. But like you say, she's got a world record. Who cares? She smashed
yeah.
it. She's happy
Exactly.
with it. She was
Yeah,
stupidly
she
close to the
definitely doesn't
150.
care.
So
Yeah, strength wise, 100%. So she's done over 150 in training before to a much lower platform. Over a much lower yoke. So strength wise, it's totally there. The disadvantage she has with these heavier stones is her height. I know a lot of people do think, and we've talked about height a lot and weight a lot over the last few weeks about is it a plus or a minus? Like, is it a pro or a con? When it comes to like a lot of lighter stones, I don't think height is a factor because you just have to be more explosive, so you just get better at stone lifting. With the max weight stones, because you can't launch it in the air, you can't like throw it up. I do think height is maybe a bit of a factor, and that's what's maybe hurt her a little bit. But let's be real, she's a very small, light female athlete here, like, and what she has managed to do is fucking phenomenal. Like, she walks around, she competes, like, she's around the 65 kilo mark, isn't she? She's
yeah,
well below 70. So she's very lean, she's very athletic, she's very light, and her frame, she's not big, she's not like some of the heavyweights like Andrea Thompson, like Donna Moore, who are fantastic athletes in their own right. Obviously, 2 weight classes above, and she's chasing them down for records.
yeah,
I think people need to kind of take note of this. Like, if people didn't know who Rhiannon was before this, they need to fucking wake up and pay attention to some of these smaller. The same goes for some of the middleweight and heavyweight men. The 105 class. is phenomenal. If you look at the standards for strength in the 105s, like a lot of our heavyweights now, sorry, our kind of open class pros now, they've come up the ranks from heavyweights or even like heavy middleweights at the time as well. Some of them, and I think people tend to forget this and think you've got to go straight for it's opens or nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a pro lightweight female, Rhiannon's insane, and that lift just kind of, there's a few lifts that cement it for me, and it happens to be her records. Overhead, she's a beast. She's got an axle world record. Deadlift, she's a fucking beast.
Yeah.
She's one of the few women to deadlift 600 pounds, and especially considering she weighs 60 odd kilo, she's doing like that's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then to be doing over double body weight on a stone,
Ridiculous.
yeah, again, so that's like me doing a 180 stone. What's that for you? Like a
For me,
two
it's
230 ish,
yeah, give or take
240 stone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So put that into perspective. She's only been competing in strongwoman for what, 4 years? There or thereabouts, 3-4 years, and has dominated. It was at 2018. She was completely dominant. She won every comp. I think she said she's won 15 out of her last 18 comps.
Yeah, something like that. Or 15 out of 17, maybe.
Something like that, yeah. So to be doing this for 3-4 years max at her age, to win that many, she is pound for pound one of the strongest people alive at the moment. 100%, she has to be. And I know in terms of powerlifting, everyone, the joke is there's no Wilkes in the jungle, but this is like a different breed of freak.
Yeah.
It's not like the giant. It's terrifying, but it should be inspiring for a lot of people who want to get into the sport, especially smaller females. We mentioned Chloe Brennan last week. There's another one for you. Women who want to get into the sport, like, if you're not built like Donna Moore, you don't have to be. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, yeah. The lift itself was amazing. Power off the floor, incredible technique, great. The 142 it was in the end. It was meant to be 141, wasn't it? The stone.
Yeah.
It was 142 point something. It was 142.2, I think. That extra 200 grams matters with a stone. It's awful. Yeah, she cleared it nice and high. She had at least 2 inches of clearance by the looks of it, and it went over no trouble. Perfect technique. Obviously, she didn't leave anything to chance. Her equipment, she'd gone through everything to make sure she had the best chance. We saw Tom do it as raw as possible.
Yeah.
He had next to no kit. Rhiannon had her soft belt on, Cerberus lever belt over the top by the looks of it. Did you notice in the warm-up
And
she'd
knee
put
sleeve as
the
well.
knee sleeve? Yeah, it looks like that's more just to protect the belt.
Yeah,
It's a custom
yeah.
belt. It's not necessarily going to help her performance, but she had to take it off the record attempts just to make sure that there was nothing being hidden that could have been extra supportive. Knee sleeves on. She had the in contrast to Tom, she had obviously the forearm protection. The stone sleeves, which are amazing. If you can pick up stone sleeves, they're incredible.
I think those are her own. Those are the ones that they sell up in Chaos.
Yeah, so they sell their own. There's a few companies that make them now. So if it's you can kind of shop around a little bit, but yeah, stone sleeves are cool.
Stones make their own, and if you really
Yeah.
want to be flashy and spend some money, Hench, who are the ones that
Yeah.
Martinez uses that do completely custom, so choose your own colour, all shit like that. Hench
Yeah.
but I think that's 70 quid, which even then isn't that bad, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you're looking at probably about 50 to 70, 75 pounds for a pair of stone sleeves. And if you're competing regularly, like I've lost count of the amount of rolls of duct tape I've gone through.
Yeah, true.
And that adds up. Like, well, if you think you're going to compete for 5 years using shitloads of duct tape, like it'll add up to the cost of stone sleeves. You still need duct tape with the stone sleeves to kind of make sure they don't slip, but it is a massive difference. And when you've got tape on, if you don't put anything else on underneath, you'll
Sweat.
get sweaty.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we've seen this in comps. Guys end up with the tape ripped off completely, and then they've got no forearm protection, which doesn't matter if you're a hard as nails Scottish giant. But for most people, that skin pulling and bleeding, and I know if I'm running a comp, I don't want people doing it bare arms in case they've got stupidly strong tacky and they end up uh, cut up and bloody, and
Yeah.
that's not very pleasant. So we tend to do like really cheap knee sleeves or like football socks and duct tape, don't we, in the gym? So that'd be my tip. But yeah, stone sleeves if you can get them. Yeah, the whole setup was great. Very professionally ran. Obviously, they weighed everything beforehand.
Yeah.
They checked the height of the implement, 44 inches, so 4 inches less than Tom's. Which, when you look at the height difference between Tom and Rhiannon, I don't know if that's if a 4 inch difference is
I don't think
necessarily
it did.
fair, but
I mean, Rhiannon was up to her chin, and and then Tom barely reached his belly button. So yeah,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. So there is still a bit of a disparity there, but no, I think 44 inches is fair for most strongman comps for a record. I think maybe they need to actually bump the 48 inches up a little bit, maybe.
yeah, I'd agree.
The thought, keep the 44 because it's not stupidly high, but it's high enough. I think the 48 for most pro males is maybe a bit low. Even just taking it up to like 52,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Because
I'd go with.
that'd be. Didn't we agree that our lowest one's 48, and the one after that is 52ish, something thereabouts?
I think it's about 51. Yeah, 51 and a bit. So ish. Yeah, close enough. So yeah, I know before we started recording, we were talking about equipment that was maybe things we would do differently, and that would be the shoes. Tom did the same thing. He lifted in flats, so he was using Converse. Rhiannon was in Sabo or Sabo, however you say it, the deadlift shoe,
Yeah.
which are a great pair of shoes, like very thin sole, minimalist. If you're deadlifting, 100% perfect. If you're a flat shoe squatter, again, great shoe. I just, especially for a one rep max stone, I think every little bit helps. I would have gone for a heeled squat shoe
Hmm.
to try and get that extra inch of height. If you're doing a stone series and you want to have a shoe that maybe like, have you tried to run in a squat shoe?
It's not nice.
It's the worst feeling in the world. It doesn't fucking work. So I think if you're doing like a lighter stones or a stone series and you want to be a bit more nimble, then Converse, Vans, Sabos, whatever your lifting shoes are, yeah, maybe even like trainers, as long as they're not super cushiony. Um, you're not gonna roll your ankle because that'd be awful with the stone. But for one rep max where you want to be planted, I would have gone for the heel lift because you can get heel lifts that are an inch and a quarter. Now she missed the second stone by very, very little. It was maybe an inch or two. The heel lift, could it have made a difference? Maybe. She would have been up on her toes a little bit more. It would have been easier to get up on her toes. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, maybe. One of those.
I
You
mean,
can't
as well,
change it, but
as well, we don't know the background, so maybe there was a thing where you couldn't use an elevated heel. We don't know.
quite possibly we
Don't
need
know the
to we
background
need
on
to
that.
check the rules. But yeah, if it wasn't necessarily in the rules, I think I would have gone for a lifting shoe personally,
Yeah, definitely.
and that's what I would recommend to other people to try. Um, was there any other equipment that we would have? Oh, there was a possible equipment malfunction. There was the dramatic moment after the first attempt at 151.7, I think it was in the end, that second stone. So what happened? Go on after the first attempt.
So yeah, she took a bit of a tumble. We're assuming, obviously, lightheadedness played a part. And yeah, took a bit of a tumble. She very wisely managed to maneuver herself enough that she'd fall and avoid all the equipment. But something that you noticed that I completely didn't was the fact that the lever belt sheared. So
Possibly, we're not
possibly,
100% on
yeah,
that, but it looked like the leave buckle had come away from the actual belt itself. Now, when I first watched the stream, I went back and watched it again because at first I thought she'd just kind of thrown herself down in frustration,
yeah,
and even then I was like, yeah, I kind of get that. Like, she's a very passionate lifter. She'd psyched herself up as much as she could, being, having only 6 people there. Like, she is an athlete that gets a lot of a buzz from the crowd. um, so I kind of thought she just kind of launched herself down because she was pissed off, and maybe just trying to hide the fact that she was pissed off. And then I was like, oh no, she's out. She is down.
yeah,
She wasn't down for long. And then she bounced straight back up, didn't she, to have another crack at it without
yeah.
the belt? Because that's kind of what made me think that the buckle had sheared off as well. Because why would you not
Put it back on.
put the belt back on? Like, if it was suitable for purpose, you'd fucking use it, right?
Yeah,
Like, if you were planning on using the support, you'd use it. So there's maybe something for other people to consider who've still got events to go. Have a backup belt just in case. You never know when something might go wrong. Like, it's always a good idea to have contingency plans in place if things don't work. Like having different pots of tacky for different weather. You learn these things by going through it and having shit go wrong. Like, this is something that maybe she'll make sure she's got in the future, is a spare belt in case something goes wrong. Um,
I think
but
obviously I'd have thought she probably may have had one somewhere, but obviously that belt
it
holds a
was
lot closer
the
to his lies, doesn't it? So you know,
yeah. And well, also it was very in the moment. Like, she kind of did what Luke did, which was run straight back up to go for another attempt.
yeah, yeah,
If it was me, I would have said, let the minute tick out and just go for a third attempt. Like, get another belt. You've got 3 attempts. Don't worry about hitting this one and going for the bigger stone.
yeah, yeah,
If it was me, but I'm saying that as someone sat in bed watching it,
yeah,
not the athlete in the moment who's fired up and as passionate as Rhiannon is. Like, I say that's what I would have done. Who knows what I would have done? Probably gone to pot myself and I'd have just had a tantrum and walked off probably. But ever the consummate professional, she had a crack at it with only her soft belt, and still got it off the ground. Fair play to her, and that was it. But I mean, a 19-inch diameter stone. She was allowed to use 17, but we reckon it's not confirmed. But we reckon she wanted to do it on the 19 because Donna's may have been done on the 19, and if she had the opportunity to break Donna's record, she wanted it to be as legitimate as possible, so no one could say, yeah, well, Donna did it on a 19, you did it on a 17. That's complete speculation on our part, but knowing a little bit about Rhiannon, that would be kind of that would be in character for her, wouldn't it?
yeah,
To want to make sure that it was as legit as possible, because she is very proud of her achievements. And she fucking should be. Like, deadlift world record, axle world record, now a stone world record. She is a pro athlete, literally, and in the way she carries herself. So I think it was a lot of people need to take that into consideration. She is a small 60 odd kilo woman doing a 19-inch diameter stone that's very fucking heavy. Like,
yeah,
that's impressive.
exactly.
Um,
And like you say, you hit the nail on the head. You know, if you don't know who Rhiannon is, fucking look her up because she's a fucking animal. And you know,
Absolute
doesn't matter
beast.
who you are. You could be a lightweight female, a heavyweight male. You are gonna be fucking inspired by her because she's a fucking beast.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Um, what a unit.
Exactly. So I know as well.
Successful businesswoman as well. Owns her own gym.
Exactly. One I've competed.
So
It's very good.
you have indeed very good equipment, very nice looking setup they've got there, everything you need, and run by 2 fantastic athletes and all around nice people.
Exactly. Cannot agree more. So now as well, we wanted to cover, like, if anyone wants to do a stone lift, what accessories to do. So we'll go over that.
100%, yeah.
So obviously we've got the two eventualities. So if you can train with stones, then obviously you
Train with stones,
train with
100%.
stones. Like it's
Best way to do it.
self-explanatory. You know, if you're gonna use
Yeah,
the equipment, fucking train with the equipment. It isn't
yeah,
rocket
yeah.
science. It doesn't take a
No.
more than one brain cell to put two and two together. So obviously, you know, even with the stone though, break it down. So a lot of what you'll see at the minute is people breaking down these compounds. So, you know, you'll break every part of that lift down before you do a rep. So you'll do the pick to the lap, you do lap to your
Yeah,
chest,
yeah, yeah.
and then you'll do the whole thing. And I think that's a great way to train it. Obviously, you know, my favourite warm up for stones is front squats with a stone.
Yeah, yeah, get it in your lap, hug it, and just do
Yeah,
some reps,
front
yeah.
squats. Yeah, 100% one of my favourite
Yeah,
accessories and warm ups for stones. So yeah,
yeah,
anything
yeah.
to add on using a stone to do stones?
With an actual stone. No, I would try and train with stones as much as you can in different ways. So load onto platforms, load onto different heights, load over yokes. Uh, Not even load, like just pull high, triple extension, drop down. Do reps with it where you don't drop as well. Just kind of work on your crushing strength and being able to pull it nice and high in your chest. Stone to shoulder as well. Even a bit of stone pressing, especially if you're a smaller athlete and you've got to get up to a higher platform, unless you can just launch it in the air and somehow control that, you might want to figure out how to just press it a little bit, even if it's not a full press out, just kind of pressing to a higher platform. That would be a good idea. So in terms of training with stones, I would do as many variations of the stone lift as possible. Don't just get really good at going over a yoke
Yeah.
because or onto a platform because you might kind of shoot yourself in the foot there. I'd say if you haven't got access to stones or training at home as most of us are now, I'd go with a sandbag.
Mm-hmm.
The next best thing for me is a sandbag because you can do almost all of those variations with a sandbag. Pressing a sandbag overhead is quite difficult unless it's very tightly packed. But you can also do sandbag carries for a longer distance, which is just going to help build up a lot of that kind of not just back strength, but like muscular endurance and your soul, your ability to suffer.
Yeah.
I love sandbag carries, but fucking hell, they're horrible.
Yeah.
If I didn't have, so if you only had a barbell, what
Nurture
would you
all
go
of the
for?
things.
Nurture all of the things. Yeah, so this is something we started doing and giving to people, um, much to their dismay and disgust. Was a lot of Zercher squatting, Zercher good mornings, or RDLs, whichever way you want to look at it. If you've got a safety bar, Zercher good mornings and Zercher squats with a safety bar because you've got kind of that awkwardness of the handles
Yeah.
in the way. If you've just got a barbell, I'd use that. For comfort, pad it up. Like use a bar pad, elbow sleeves, knee sleeve, everything just because it's not pleasant. What else would you do? I'd go for a lot of straight leg deadlifts or stiff leg deadlifts.
Yeah, a lot of stiff legs, a lot of front squats, just standard barbell front squats,
Yeah,
goblet squats, shit like that. Like anything essentially where the weight's in front of you
yeah,
to
100%.
replicate where the stone's going to be, because you know anything like that it's only going to carry over good. And obviously, like you say, plenty like good mornings and a lot of things to strengthen that lower back, especially with the pick. So yeah,
Deficits as well.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the stone lift is a deficit. It's why you're never going to do a stone lift with a neutral spine unless you are quite short. If it's the taller you are, the more bent over you've got to be. You want your hips nice and high. It is the closest barbell lift to kind of the pick at least is a stiff leg deadlift. Um, there's one Alan Thrall did a video recently. He's focusing a lot on his deadlift, and he's using Ukrainian deadlifts, which I don't know if you've seen a Ukrainian deadlift before.
Is that where you're elevating the weight goes? Yeah,
Yeah, so we see a lot of this with probably a lot on Instagram. Um, from certain fitness inspirational accounts where they're doing something similar, standing on blocks or benches or whatever. One point, there's no point doing that if the weight is not going lower than your feet. You may as well stand on the floor. So to qualify, I think I mentioned this earlier to Kim, and she was saying Brett Contreras refers to this similarly as a straddle lift, but that's a bit more of a cross between a squat and a deadlift. This is 100% stiff leg deadlift. You will expect a little bit of spinal flexion. So this isn't something you're going to go super heavy with, but doing a greater range of motion, stiff leg deadlift, just higher rep stuff, just for kind of more hypertrophy or whatever. But that would carry over quite nicely, I think.
I know I've watched a video this morning on Tom Stoltman speaking that he, during his run up to the stone, he only did deficit deads. That's all he was programmed by Dan Hipkiss, was just deficit deadlifts.
Yeah, 100%.
But that was his only deadlift variation that he was doing, was deficits.
Yeah, no regular pulling. It was 100%. I think that makes a lot of sense. What else? I mean, so crush strength is important. Being able to like grip onto the stone. You've got tacky, which is going to help, but being able to like crush the stone as you're loading it, is important. You could hug people really hard. That might work.
Yeah, I mean,
They might not like that. I've seen. Go on.
No, I've always said that the best way to train that is train tachyless. Like, don't rely on tacky during training. Bring that in for your comp, so that then you've got that extra bit of
the last few weeks
But yeah, during training, train tacky.
Yeah, I'm terrible at that. I'll be honest. It's something I need to do more of when I can do stones again. I'm very reliant on tacky. My tacky stones, there's a massive difference. So it's something I need to bring up more. Just to help with that. If I don't have tacky, it's not going to go well. What else did we have? So I think that's all the variations, accessory lifts we'd go for. Lots of deadlifting, lots of stiff leg deadlifting, lots of RDLs, lots of Zerch or front carries or front squat. Rows just for back strength. Rows with a stone, rows with a barbell, rows with whatever you've got. You've got, so that's a lot of like the pick and lap triple extension. So if you've just got a barbell, even just doing cleans or jumps, barbell jumps, just to work that triple extension strength, I would add that in. You love a shrug, maybe even some kind of shrugs or even upright rows, like getting used to pulling nice and high because you need to pull a stone high. I think that's everything. Yeah. But like you said, like if you break down, if you watch an Atlas stone being done and you break down the movement into kind of like its subsections, you've got a deadlift, a bit of a squat, and a triple extension at the top, and a high pull. So if you train those movements with whatever you've got to hand, and then try and get hold of, maybe drive out to a gym if yours doesn't have Atlas stones, drive out to, if you're in a commercial gym, I have seen a really cool variation you can do, with a cable stack. If you hook up ropes and get a Swiss ball, you can crush the Swiss ball and grab hold of the ropes and do the extension portion using a cable stack so if you set it up at the bottom. So there's one for you. If you're in a commercial gym and you want to train stones, you need a Swiss ball and a cable setup. But there's another option. Is it ideal? Absolutely fucking not. But if it works, it works.
And if lockdown's taught us anything, it's fucking adapt. So
be creative. So if you've not got while we're on the topic then of lockdown, if you've not got access to a cable setup but you've got bands, you could choke up a band around something. And if you've got a Swiss ball or anything like that that's big enough, a football's not going to be big enough, so you need something. get on that. If you haven't got access to any of this, on my Instagram, on one of my highlights, I think I just put it down as like daft stuff. I picked Kimmel as a stone. So if you've got a partner,
A dog.
crush them into a ball. Yeah, a dog, a small child. Hopefully your small child don't do this to, we're not advocating kidnapping small children. Yeah. You will be put on a register. Yeah. But yeah, like get creative 100%. Like fill a suitcase, fill a backpack, fill a gym bag, whatever you've got, throw stuff in it. If it's a soft gym bag, throw some weights in it, maybe like a duvet or something. Just pad it out a little bit. Like get creative, and stone lifting's awesome. We love a good stone lift, don't we?
We do indeed. And on the subject of small, short, good stone lifters, where better place to move on to Rob Kearney's current log lift record that's coming this weekend?
100%. So Rob is one of those guys I mentioned earlier that kind of worked his way up the ranks. He already has 2 records in the log lift. He's got the 105 record, which, just to go back to weight classes, there are weight classes, lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight. So 105 is kind of the lower end of the heavyweight category. Or is it, upper end middleweight? That kind of area. You're talking like 105 is kind of that border between middleweight and heavyweight before you get into the open super heavyweight category. So yeah, Rob's got the at least American record. I don't think it's the world record. I might be wrong.
He's definitely got the American record. Yeah, and he's just
definitely got the American record.
And again.
And well, I was going to say he's going for his open American record as well. So he's got both. He's got the lighter record in his lighter weight class before he moved up, and then obviously he moved up because he was basically having to water cut a lot to compete in that lighter class. Graham Hicks has done the same thing. So Hicks, he had the 105 record, and then obviously he moved up as well.
Ish, another very good 105 that moved up.
Yeah, exactly. So I think a lot of people like earn your rights to be a super heavyweight monster. I think a lot of people
from the off.
Yeah, I mean, we can all do this, can't we? Like, we can all kind of look at ourselves and go, okay, are we taking the piss a little bit? Do we need to drop down a weight class or 2, maybe be a bit leaner and just try and build that base level of strength up and kind of earn your way up? And then when you get to a point where you're not going to put that much more muscle mass on to move up, you've got a couple of routes. Obviously, strongman, generally an untested sport. So if you're not using there and you want to, you've got that route to try and pack on a little bit more muscle mass. Once you've topped out as a natty, your option then is gain more mass, any mass, any more weight you can put on. Yeah, like within reason, like don't just be unhealthy, but that extra size will 100% help with a lot of the static lifts. Well, a lot of the lighter weight guys, it's one of the reasons why Rob's so good at his moving events, was because he was a lighter category weight class lifter. They tend to be better than the opens at a lot of these. Like a lot of heavyweight pros will smoke an open pro on a moving event because they're almost as strong statically and they're lighter on their feet. It helps. It's good for your health. It wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing a lot of the open guys after they've retired from the bigger comps, like Loz has retired from bigger comps, whether he starts working his way back down a little bit just to be a bit healthier. I think, there's no reason you can't, if you aspire to be competing at World's Strongest Man and being an open, I don't see why you can't do that. And then when you've done that a little bit and you're worried about your health, like Eddie was, I don't see why he couldn't have come back down and competed lighter or whatever. I know he's still a big bastard at 160 odd and lean, but yeah, Rob's log record. It's, I want to say was it 214? Am I lying? Is it heavier? heavier,
Something
isn't
like
it?
that.
It was
Yeah,
214 at one point.
yeah.
I
I
think,
know
was it?
either way, he's just beating it in training anyway. So literally, I think that was
Yeah.
yesterday. He's just beaten that. So
Hmm.
let's just face facts that come the weekend, he's going to be fine and he'll beat it again.
He'll have he'll have added a little bit to his own record there, and he's going to split jerk the records. He's one of the few opens that split jerk. In fact, is he the only open that currently split jerks?
There is one more, but the name and the faces. I know someone else in 2017 split jerk. I can't remember who though. But yeah, I know
Mm.
there is a few others. I want to say maybe it was Gerhard van Standen, the South African. I want to say he's a split jerker, maybe.
What a fantastic name, though. What a fucking. That's a good strongman name.
Yeah, at
Like,
least
if he hasn't got a really twirly mustache, he
he
is
doesn't.
letting the
He has a
side
goatee.
down.
He has a goatee.
No, he should have a twirly mustache
Yeah,
and walk around in a leopard print singlet. Like, that is.
there you
Yeah, like, so split jerk is not as common with the bigger athletes.
go.
One, because they tend to be more statically strong overhead, just because they are bigger, they've got more muscle mass, all that kind of stuff. You normally see split jerking done by your lighter lifters. This was one of the questions that one of the guys asked, and it was, of course, an Olympic weightlifter. And one of our members, Mark, asked if a split jerk was a valid option for a log lift, and it's definitely not as technically pristine as you do with a barbell. It's a bit uglier. It's not like it wouldn't pass in Olympic weightlifting standards for proficiency and how pretty it looks. It's definitely an ugly. You're not going to split as far. So I've seen some guys split and it's like their feet are like a foot apart. Some guys get a full split, but it definitely is a good idea for smaller, lighter guys who can use their speed and their athleticism to drop under a bit more. Um, than like just going for a push press. Push jerk is the other option. It's a bit more stable. I think the downsides of split jerk is it's high risk, high reward.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really good at it, like you'll get the weight over your head probably a lot easier than you would with some of the other techniques. But the risk is it's not as stable with a log as it would be for a barbell. If you're doing an axle, again, split jerk with an axle, I think that's definitely a good option. And I think Rob's really smart in that I'm not sure if he does a split jerk when he's going for reps in
No,
competition. Does he still do a split jerk? No? Right,
only when he
okay.
gets tired.
Yeah. So this is what I was going to say as well. Like, if you're going for a 1 rep max log, going for a split jerk is genius, especially if you've got multiple attempts at it. Brilliant. If you've got a rep event, I would go push press or push jerk. Again, push jerk is again higher risk, higher reward than a push press. You might lose it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get the weight overhead, but you might struggle with the stability at the top. You might lose it. If you've got 10 seconds left, you will not push press another rep, but you can clean it and you can split jerk it and get that extra rep. It might get you the win or it might put you in the top 3 for that event. Fucking do it. Like, I think it's something I've never trained with the log, the split jerk, but it's something that I think it's another tool to have, isn't it? And the more tools you've got in your toolbox to pull from in a competition, use it. Rob is very intelligent. He's a very good lifter, and he's kind of figured out that the best way for him to hit a heavy log is a split jerk. Like, awesome.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So I think let's face it. It's Rob is very good at log, and I can see nothing but success here. So
Yeah. The
we
only way I can see this, the only way I can see him not getting it is if it will be stability at the top. It'll be lockout. It's whether he'll put it over his head. It's
yeah.
whether he can punch his arms out, lock it, and then recover. The hard part of any split jerk is the recovery. And with a log that size, that much heavier than you, and that awkward, the recovery So getting his feet back, because in strongman rules, like and not a lot of people will know this unless they compete. Your feet have to be. It depends how strict. So I'm guessing they're going to have a local ref with Big Z just watching over. But you never know. It might be just Big Z, like the way it was with Luke.
Oops, yeah.
He's going to be looking at Rob's feet, because in strongman rules you want your feet parallel. It depends how strict your ref is. They might even say it's got to be hip width apart parallel or shoulder width apart parallel. You've got to be stable and locked out. So even if he locks the weight out overhead with his arms, he then still needs to recover and get his feet under him and be stable. And that is where the risk comes in with doing a split jerk. And that is the only way I can see Rob not getting this record. I don't want to jinx him because I want him to get the record. That's the fire he's playing with there.
Yeah.
So I hope it works out.
Yeah, exactly. But we shall wait and see. And again, we will reconvene here next week, discuss it again.
Hopefully to talk about how awesome the lift was, and then who's after Rob? What have we got after?
It's the Heinle Pritchett 400k for reps head to head. So that's going to be
head to head deadlift. Cool. Yeah, so we can do our predictions for that as well, and maybe break down some of the technique stuff going on there with the deadlift. Exactly. Is it a regular deadlift? It's not a spicy.
No, just regular.
Fun, strong, just regular dead. Yeah, I guess they're constrained to equipment. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Lovely to chat with you again.
Exactly, mate. Pleasure as always. Enjoy the rest of your day. I shall. Next week.
See you very soon.
See you, man. Goodbye.